Wow, is that your German ID? Yeah, can I take a look? Sure. Wait, why does it say your nationality is Deutsch? No, that's Deutsch. I thought you were German, not Dutch. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. Those of you who have been watching my channel for a little bit longer, or who went back to watch some older videos of mine, know that I've made Q&A videos before where I answered questions that you guys had for us Germans. If you want to see all of my previous Ask a German videos, I'm going to link the playlist up here and in the info box below. The way that it worked was that I would ask you guys to submit questions with the hashtag #AskAGerman, and then I would pick a few and respond to several questions in one video. Now, in a lot of cases, things turned out a little long, or I even felt like I couldn't fit certain questions into the video at all because it would just take up too much time. And to solve that problem, I thought it would be cool to just focus on one question per video and make a little mini-series out of this. Kind of similar to my Random Differences mini-series that I did a little over a year ago. So this is the first video out of 5, and I will probably publish them every other day, and I'm gonna try and keep them relatively short compared to my normal videos. So I'll try and keep them under 10 minutes. Now, to decide which questions to answer, I asked you guys on Instagram and here on YouTube what you've always wanted to ask us Germans, and I got so much feedback on that, so thank you for submitting so many interesting questions and for voting in the poll. And there will actually be at least 1 or maybe even 2 more polls in my YouTube community tab in the next few days. One question that was asked a lot is how we're taught about World War II and the Holocaust in German schools, and how we deal with that topic in general in Germany. Disclaimer, I'm not going to answer that question in this series. I've actually responded to it in a previous Ask a German video before that I'll link up here, but I do think it's a very interesting and relevant topic, so I do want to take the time and answer that question again in a more proper way, and not only share my experience, but share the experience of other Germans as well. So I'm actually planning a longer video on that in the future. Today I'm starting with a question that wasn't actually in the poll that I gave you guys, but this one has been on my list forever. I think I've pretty much been getting this question since I started my YouTube channel, and except for replying to a comment here and there, I've never really addressed it, but I think this is a great time to finally do that. And the question is, why do we call Germany Deutschland in German? Or I've also heard different variations of this question, like, why do we have a special name for it? Why don't we just call it Germany? Or I also often get asked, why do Germans call my hometown Munich München? And to be completely honest with you guys, my very first thought when I hear those questions is usually, what a dumb question. That might be something that you're not necessarily used to hearing from me on my channel, because I usually go by the premise that there are no dumb questions, especially when it comes to understanding another culture and language. But with this one, I was always like, huh? Is this person serious? But yes, apparently many people are serious about it, and even though I just said it's a dumb question, I would like to answer it, because just because from my perspective it's obvious, doesn't mean it's obvious to everyone, and that's okay. Plus, I thought it would actually be really interesting to dig a little deeper into the historical and etymological background of the different names that Germany has around the world. So, why do we call Germany Deutschland, Munich München, and Cologne Köln, for example? The simple answer is because we speak a different language in Germany, and different languages often have different names for the same places. Just like there are often different versions of first names in different languages. The equivalent of the German first name Johann or Johannes, for example, would be John in English, Juan in Spanish, and Jean in French. And similar to that, München is the German name for the city, but the English name is Munich, the French one is Munich, and the Italian one is Monaco. Now, to me, as a person from a central country in Europe, where we're used to learning foreign languages and being surrounded by them from a young age, like when we go on summer vacation to Italy or Spain or Croatia, it just seems pretty obvious. There are so many different languages in the world, and a lot of them have their own name for a place, just like they have their own words for everything else. And it was kind of shocking to me when I realized that here in the US, there are actually a lot of people that are surprised by the fact that other languages don't refer to their country as the United States of America, but have their own translation for that, and that the real name of Spain isn't Spain, but España. Finland is Suomi, or whatever the correct pronunciation is of that, and Germany is Deutschland. These are just a few of many, many examples, of course. The US is Vereinigte Staaten von Amerika in German, Estados Unidos de América in Spanish, often just Estados Unidos, or États-Unis in French. I've also been asked if it bothers me that people don't pronounce my hometown München correctly, but no, I mean, of course people say it in their own language, and in English, that's Munich. Now, besides the obvious, Germany is indeed kind of a special case. While for a lot of countries, you can at least see a resemblance between the names in different languages. I'll put some examples on the screen. Germany has completely different names. I don't speak all of these languages, but I'll try my best to somewhat pronounce it correctly. In English, it's Germany, of course. In German, it's Deutschland. In French, it's Alemanni. In Polish, it's Niemc. In Danish, it's Tyskland. And in Finnish, it's Saksa. The reason for all of these very different names is that Germany, similar to many other parts of Europe, wasn't a unified country for the longest time, and the area was settled by different tribes and consisted of different kingdoms and other monarchical territories. Plus, people from outside of that region often came up with their own names for the residents of the German territory. Now, of course, I didn't do any research in this field myself, but based on the information I could find, there are 5 main origins for the different names. Number 1 is the word Diutisk. Again, not quite sure how it's pronounced, but I'm just going to pronounce it the way it's written, which is Old High German and means of the people or zum Volk gehörig in modern German. This is a name that the Germanic tribes called themselves as speakers of Germanic languages, as opposed to others who spoke Celtic or Romance languages. Through different detours and changes over time, this eventually turned into Deutschland and then Deutschland, which is what us Germans call the country to this day. Other Germanic languages use the same origin, which is why Germany is called Tyskland or Tyskland in Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian, Deutschland in Dutch and Afrikaans, and in Italian, the country is called Germania, but the language and the people are referred to as Tedesco. And even in some Asian languages, like Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, and Korean, the word for German goes back to this origin, but I'm not going to try and pronounce those. Since I just mentioned Dutch, you may wonder why the people from the Netherlands have such a confusingly similar name. The word obviously has the same origin, Deutsch versus Dutch. Now, you can go down a rabbit hole with these historical and etymological developments, but basically, from what I understand, the Netherlands and Germany are right next to each other, and historically, tribes have migrated and merged over time, and borders have changed a lot in that region, so for a long time, the English language just didn't differentiate. They were both called Deutsch, Dutch. The Dutch language is also closely related to the German dialect Plattdeutsch, also referred to as Low German. But anyway, I'm probably losing you here, and it's getting really confusing with these two words, Dutch versus Deutsch, historical versus modern. But basically, at one point in history, there was deemed a difference between the people in the Netherlands region and the people in the German region. And starting in the 17th century, the English word Dutch has been mainly used for the Netherlanders, and English-speaking people started using the Latin-based word German for us. This confusion doesn't exist in all languages though. In German, we call ourselves Deutsche and our language Deutsch, and people from the Netherlands and their language used to be called Holländisch and nowadays mainly Niederländisch. The second origin, I just mentioned it, is the Latin word Germani or Germani. It's not quite clear where the word comes from, but it first showed up in Roman sources from around 200 BC to describe the tribes north of the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar used the name in the year 51 BC when he wrote about the Rhine River being the border between Gaul, Gallien, and Germania, Germanien. And then throughout the Middle Ages, the word wasn't used a whole lot, except for historical and geographic contexts when talking of the regions to the right of the Rhine River. The term didn't show up again in literature until the 15th or 16th century, and then got the meaning Germany in New Latin, which was then adapted into English and numerous Romance languages, such as Italian, Romanian, Bulgarian, Albanian, Georgian, and Armenian. It also shows up in Greek, Russian, or even Indonesian and Thai. The third origin is the term Alemanni, or Alemannen in German, which was the name of a Germanic tribe in what today would be the Alsace region, the southwest region of Germany, and Switzerland. The neighbors of the Alemanni, the Gaul Romans, started using that term for all Germanic tribes, which was then adapted into French and Iberian languages, and then later also into Arabic languages. So this is the origin for the name in French, Spanish, Portuguese, Farsi, Kurdish, Arabic, and Turkish. Fun fact, in the past few years, there's been a new slang word in German that also goes back to this origin. The word is Allmann, and it refers to people that are stereotypical German. The background of this is that Germany has had many people immigrate from Turkey and Arabic countries since the 60s, and based on their languages, Allmann has kind of become a comedic term for people and things that are just very German. As an American, you can kind of compare it to when people say that something is very white in the US. There are countless comedy skits and meme pages based on the Allmann joke. The fourth origin goes back to the tribe of the Saxons, or Sachsen in German, that were mostly in what today is the northwestern part of Germany. That's the origin for the words in Finnish and Estonian, and here again, they only used it for the tribe of the Saxons at first, but then the meaning was extended to refer to other Germanic tribes as well. And last but not least, let's talk about the origin in many Slavic and other Eastern European languages that I didn't even know about until now, and I find this really interesting. So in Polish, the word for Germany is Niemc, or something along those lines, and it has similar names in Czech, Slovene, Slovakian, Ukrainian, Hungarian, Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian. It goes back to this Proto-Slavic word for stranger, which again goes back to this adjective, which means something along the lines of mute. The term was used to describe foreigners that spoke a different language so that the Slavs couldn't communicate with them. Later, it was used to specifically refer to German-speaking people. In return, the word Slavic probably derives from the word Slovo, which means word, so the Slavs refer to themselves as the speaking people. Okay, that was a lot of etymological details, even though I really just barely scratched the surface there, but I hope it answers the question of why we call Germany Deutschland in German, and why other languages have even other names for our country. To give you the German terms one more time, we call the country Deutschland, the people die Deutschen, or you can say ich bin Deutsche, or ich bin Deutscher, or ich bin Deutsch, and the language is also Deutsch. The next Ask a German episode will come out the day after tomorrow, übermorgen, and that one will be one that you voted for from the YouTube poll. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, activate the bell, and hit the thumbs up button. For more content outside of YouTube, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and if you want to support me, you can do so by clicking that super thanks button down below or by joining my Patreon family. Thank you guys so much for your support and for watching, and I hope I'll see you in 2 days. Tschüss!